Hello and welcome to our College Connections live stream, and we're here in Newark today, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But first of all, if you're new to the live stream, you might not know who we are, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Gary. I did a time-served apprenticeship leaving school at the age of 16 and worked for a company which is now known as Western Power. And then I had an absolute pleasure of teaching in an FE college for 19 years before doing the eFIXX thing. So Marcus, yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Marcus. Different story to Gaz. I actually retrained to be an electrician, so that meant I went back to education after leaving it. I then went on to work for electrical contractors, actually had a touch in FE with you as well, didn't I, as a teacher? Yeah, and now I'm a self-employed electrician running my own business on a day-to-day basis, as well as working with eFIXX. So.
Yeah, so we're doing an eFIXX College Connection live stream. We're at Newark. We've already been to Newark before and had the great pleasure of obviously handing them over some wonderful resources that were supported by the following people. So the people on the screen now help make these eFIXX College Connections viable, and obviously we're here today in Newark as a live stream, and we'd like to thank everybody on the screen for making it absolutely possible for us to do.
Yeah,
massive thank you.
Makes a big difference to the college, doesn't it? So.
Before we start, let's talk about what we're going to be doing in today's one. We're going to panic you off the start. We're going to be talking about books.
We are, yes.
Does everyone love reading books?
Not everyone.
Okay. However, they are super important. And if we had a top tip for books before we actually look at the ones we've got in front of us, what would be your top tip with college and books?
My top tip would be speak to the college, okay? You go with the books they recommend. You don't go out on a whim and just type in electrical books on a, on a retailer and see what comes up. Speak to them what is actually relevant to the course you're on and what you're going to need throughout the year.
Okay. And when you've done that, I used to say to my learners when I taught, if I've asked you to buy a book and you're not going to read that book, don't buy that book because you're wasting your money. But they said, every time, Gary, you'll ask us to buy that book. I said, I will. And you're going to keep going on about it, Gaz. I am. I said, but unless you're going to read it, you're going to have to fight back. So it's a bit like subscribing to a YouTube channel and not watching any of the videos. It's the same about buying a book. Now, we've got some great books in front of us, and they're going to link to the other part of the live stream we're going to talk about. What else are we going to talk about?
So we're going to actually look at cables and classes of conductors. Okay,
so that's what we want. Here we get to college. 100%. First couple of weeks, let me get my hands on some cables. But if you don't know anything about cables, all you're doing is, effectively just holding on to cables and sticking them on boards. Right, okay, in front of us here, we've got some lovely material that Lincoln College and Newark College give to their learners. So let's have a look at their handouts that they have as learning resource material.
So they have their own ones which they've created, as far as I'm aware. They have, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, so we've got one for a level 2, one for a level 3. Okay, so these are specifically designed around their course as such and the course they're doing.
So they didn't have to buy these ones, and obviously they picked them up. But what's really good is, obviously, is we just pull it open, look at that.
Yeah.
What do we want as a learner? We want big colour pictures and obviously limit the amount of writing. And they've got some lovely QR codes there as well that send you off to different things to help you work you through this study book. Yeah. So that's really good. And you've highlighted a page there for me as well, haven't you? So let's have a look at the page you highlighted. Sorry, I apologise. Right, okay, that looks like a cable.
It is, yes, a steel wire armoured cable.
Okay, and we're going to look at those in this video, and we're going to break those down, and we're going to also go over to a segment where we look at current carrying capacities that link into there. So it's in the book that the college has given me, then asked me to read, links to cables and what we're going to talk about as well today.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so that's that book. We've got the level 3 one as well here. And again, if we just turn to a section within their level 3 book, or level 2 book, I think this one is, it's the constructions of what we would call twin and CPC cables.
It is, yes.
So there's a nice picture and there's some written elements. So if you're in that workshop and you're working away with twin and CPC cables, it's worth taking on some additional information about those.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the books that college provides. So,
so you wouldn't be able to buy these as such, okay? These are what your college, and your college might not give you notes that look like this, okay? They might be with a different setup, again, for the course you're on. So,
but again, the highly recommended from us is whatever material you're given at college, you actually do read it. And I know it is difficult because you've got your life to get on with as well when you're training, whether you be an apprentice or a full-time learner. But it's dipping into those books. Now, we've got some here with a name that looks very familiar at the bottom there. What gentleman's doing this one?
So Pearson. Okay, so this is quite common in the electrical industry. You will see books like this. And again, this is one that Lincoln and Newark College actually asked their learners to get, isn't it? For the courses that's on them. So again, you would have to purchase these. These wouldn't necessarily be given to you by your college. But again, Pearson, and what's the other brand you quite often see?
Brian Scadam is another person that writes some fantastic books that have been updated over the years.
There's one for a level 3 there.
Okay, and different...
they're both
electrical installation. Okay,
A
and then,
B.
yeah, okay, we've got the A and B books there. So you've highlighted a couple of pages for me again within these books. So if I was reading...
Again, look.
Wow, look at that. So that's all about PVC, PVC twin and CPC cables.
Yeah.
And then looking down here, these look slightly different to me.
Yeah, these are like a fine-stranded, flexible conductor.
And we're going to come to that as well, because we're going to look at classes of conductor.
We are.
So we can see here, by construction, they're solid copper. And this one down here as a stranded, more flexible kind of cable. So that's a different class of conductor.
Yeah, it is,
so
yeah.
That's in that book. You've highlighted another page in this book as well.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. And this looks like it's insulating materials, yes?
Yes, yeah.
So
again, still linked to cables as such.
Most common insulating material for cables is?
Insulating PVC.
PVC. So what does PVC stand for?
Polyvinyl chloride.
Okay, so we've got some insulating materials here.
Yeah.
And again, when we turn it over, we've got some common conductor materials.
Yeah, most being copper, but we do have aluminium, we get tin copper, different types of conductors, but generally, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's going to be copper,
and there's tungsten, there's silver.
Yeah.
So silver. Imagine getting a drum of silver cable out. You would never get out of your van, would you?
No.
You're just stripping it and wiring it in. But all of these materials come into, obviously, cables. And when you first get to college, you desperately get your hand on some cables.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be lovely if you were actually reading alongside your course, giving you that opportunity to, when you go in there, you've got some additional information. We're going to cover some of that additional information in here as well, aren't we?
And it's like we always used to say when we was teaching, didn't we, that actually the fundamentals is knowledge.
Yeah.
80% of it is knowledge, 20% maybe practical. So the knowledge does come from things like reading and stuff like that, doesn't it? So.
And in my experience, 19 years in FE College, the best learners I ever had were the ones that read. So the ones that actually read beyond the course. So that's pre-teach and after teaching in order to keep themselves up. And they were also my most difficult students because they kept me on my toes because they'd come with, I've read this about 12 volts being in a bathroom, Gary. Can you just explain to it ripple free? And you're like, okay, yes, we'll just we'll make sure we clarify that in the next lesson. Come in. That was a favourite one of mine when that one came in. So that's great. So you've got your fundamental books that your college want you to buy, plus the classic 3 during your training that you're going to come across, which are the classic 3 are here. So just point me through what we've got here then, Marcus.
So we've got the on-site guide, okay? And remember, if you are a student and you're looking at buying these additional books, just because you see a blue one, cheaper, we don't want to buy that. That's for an old set of regulations. We're now on this one here.
Yeah, so this is the on-site guide, and I'm not telling you to go and buy it, but pretty much every single course that I ever taught had the latest edition of the on-site guide. It's a must-to book. Okay, so that's good. Again, you've highlighted something in there. What's in there that's
so we
interesting?
Go to this highlighted page.
Okay, so...
Again, so I've highlighted this bit here, okay, for when we're going to maybe look later on in the show at the different colours and what they used to be. So pre-2004, we used to have different colour codes for our cables or conductors, and now we have new ones. Therefore, when we come across both in an installation, there's certain things we may have to do.
Okay, so and that's in the on-site guide. So underneath that is a set of guidance notes that are really important for those apprentices, probably in years 2 and 3, because they've got a lot of testing and fault finding to do.
Yes.
As well as when you leave your full-time college course, whether that be as an apprentice or whether you've done a full-time course, you're likely to go on and do a testing course next, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. You're looking at maybe the 2391, etc. So
yeah, so within that course, you've got to read guidance notes 3. And what I like about the guidance notes is they're easy to read, aren't they?
They are very easy to read, and they have lovely pictures as always. But again, it's important to remember that you're looking now for one with a brown strip and not necessarily one with a blue strip, because that would again be to the older set of regulations. So that brown strip is important.
And that supplements BS 7671.
It does,
it's guidance. Okay,
it
so
is,
so it's not, we follow this as part of the guidance, but it isn't like BS 7671, which is underneath here. Now, we've had some fun and games before with students buying this book.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had some level 1 learners come in and say, I've had a little look and I've gone out and bought this book here.
I bought the brown book you asked for.
Okay, and what's the issue with that?
The problem is, as a level 1 learner, you're probably not going to delve into something like this as of yet. Maybe if you're an apprentice on your sort of 2nd to 3rd year, you'll start to look at this and the regulations. This is BS 7671, isn't it? So, yeah, as a level 1 learner, this is probably going to be a hard read for you. I would suggest it would be anyway, unless, you never know. But
and it's 80 quid.
It is 80 quid,
So again, so make sure when you're choosing books, make sure you can do it. Now, So with that in mind, I'd like a couple of things in the comments. Could you comment for me which college you are at, or if you're an electrician, which college you went to, so we can get an idea of where we are geographically. And it might mean that I pull out one of those in the future and try and go to a live stream from there. Fancy travelling around the country, go to Scotland or something?
Yeah. And feel free as well to comment any books that you're reading. Okay, you might be an electrician who's reading a good book that points towards apprentices or students looking to get an apprenticeship that will help them. So yeah, if you're reading any good books or your college has given you any good books to read, let us know.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. And again, as people are looking through there, it might be your recommendation for a certain book that means they go off and look at it and think, no, they're right there. That's a good recommendation to get that book. So we're not going to cover every book you possibly get hold of, but we do want to take it a little bit further for our apprentices, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Because we've got some books here from Napit, and Napit have kindly donated these books, and we will leave them behind for Lincoln College to use.
Yeah.
And this is really that sort of apprentice or level 3 learner right at the end, and they're looking to maybe branch out into the electrical industry and want to add even more knowledge
also they're starting to maybe be given jobs on their own to do, and they need to use these documents.
So this is the
On-Site Solutions.
Okay, so this is like a grown-up version of the On-Site guide,
It
isn't
is,
it?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, and you've highlighted a page again.
Again.
Okay, so there we go. So that looks remarkably like what we'd be looking at today. So I can see two different sets of colours there. So that's pre-2004 and post-2004.
It is, yeah.
So again, once you've read that, you're aware of what needs to happen in installation.
Yeah.
And there is a sticker there at the bottom that in the old days, what did we used to have to do with that sticker?
We used to have to slap that on the front of the consumer unit, didn't we?
Okay, so
for everyone to see.
So if an installation had a combination of old cable colours and new, the sticker had to go on the front of the consumer unit.
It did, yeah, to make people aware that there's two versions of BS7671 colours present in the installation.
Do we still need to do that? No. Okay, so what do we have to do though?
So even though we don't have to put it on a consumer unit,
Yep.
what we have to do is maybe when you pass over the certification, you give a handover pack with any relevant stickers that are needed for the installation. So the customer would still get a copy of that sticker or that phrase as such to make them aware, and any future electricians.
And that's in a dwelling, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So imagine you're starting your electrical course, you're really keen and really interested. What you're going to do when you read a book is find there will be additional details that are probably not covered by your course.
No, yeah.
So apprentices go to college 1 day a week. You can't expect in 6 hours for 36 weeks for your college lecturer to cover absolutely everything. No. So who is predominantly responsible for your training? We touched on it last time.
Yeah, it's yourself, isn't it? We did a whole show based on it. You are responsible.
So if I'm responsible for my own learning, if I read a book and I came across some additional information, it's a great conversation at work.
Yeah.
And it's a great conversation with your college lecturer when you say, oh yeah, I understand a sticker used to be present.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will still see it on consumer unit saying 2 versions of BS7671 on the cable colours. But now I know that I could do that, but I could give them in a handover pack. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow, wouldn't that be good to be in that kind of conversation at work and at college, that you've taken ownership of your own learning?
Yeah, definitely. And even learning as an electrician moving forward. I'm an electrician, I had to read that the stickers are no longer on a consumer unit, in the new copy of BS7671. So it's something that you're going to have to do for the rest of your career, really. Reading books, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and it links into lots of things that we're going to do. We're going to give you lots of signposts for additional videos, because we do know that people occasionally like to watch a video on something. I do myself.
Yeah, I do too.
So as we work our way through today's live stream, we're also going to show you where you can get additional video information to help support maybe your reading and your college learning as well. And we'll show you where those are as we go through.
Yeah, we will. We'll signpost them, won't we? So.
With that in mind, it looks like there's a couple of seats over there and nobody's sitting in them. Should we go over there and have another seat? So let's move across.
Have a look at these comments quickly.
Okay, you can do the comments while you
So we've got Steve Donovan, studied at, is it Calderdale College, 12 years ago.
All right, brilliant.
JTL MVQ books, he found them to be very good.
Yep.
Stephen Rowe's son is training in Orpington, Kent.
All right, brilliant, thank you. Any others? Is that it?
Oh, Kitcher's inspection and testing book is very good.
Oh yeah.
Not sure if it's being kept up to date by the publishers though. That was Steve Donovan again. So
yeah, that was a good book. Yeah, I had that book as well. So that was a good one. So you're drinking a cup of tea on camera, and I'm over here. Yeah, you noticed that you got a little bit of a beverage. Yeah. So again, there is some wonderful books, and like I said, keeping up to date. Those testing ones, I think that might have been the one I had. It was nearly all pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wonderful to work your way through. The written element was quite small, but the graphics on it were absolutely awesome. Yeah. Well, it looks to me as if we're in front of what students all want to get in front of. Cables. Okay.
Hands-on, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the sort of first cable? When I get to college, what are they going to give me first of all?
Normally it's going to be PVC, twin and CPC cable.
Hang on, whoa.
I know there's electricians out there.
Whoa. I have no idea what you just said there. So say it again.
Twin and earth.
Okay. So obviously college vernacular is different to the real world. So we're going to call this cable here, we'll bring the camera in a minute, we're going to call that PVC, twin and CPC cable.
Correct.
However, if you walked into an electrical wholesaler, when they're finished laughing, what would they tell you you've actually asked for?
So you've actually asked for twin and earth, and Gordon pointed it out in the comments as well when we mentioned it earlier. He said, "I think you finally called twin and earth." So.
And we're in the real world. Obviously, I taught for 19 years, so some people would suggest I haven't been in the real world for a long time.
Yeah.
What you got to remember is we're preparing people for examinations, and to use the right term as many times as you can, and then signpost the wrong term, if you know what I mean. And they call it, the bonding conductor.
Yeah.
It's the protective bonding conductor. It's a ring final circuit and not
a ring main.
Yeah. Okay. So. It's just a case of when you're training, I always say to people, don't bolt in front of an electrician and say, oh, you've got it wrong, it's the CPC and that's the line conductor, when they're calling it live and earth.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a pecking order in a business, but also look at it and go, I clearly understand what the actual term is.
Yeah.
And my exam will use the actual term. Maybe they use slightly different phrases on side. Well, you've done it today already once for me. Before we have a look over there, just go through the basic parts of this cable for me, Marcus.
So when we talk about PVC, twin and CPC, okay, the first PVC stands for polyvinyl chloride, as we said earlier, and that is in relation to the insulation on the live conductors itself.
Oh, you said live there.
Yeah, so as a pair, we have line, neutral, but as a pair of conductors, we can call them the live conductors.
And the thinking behind that is if, say, 6 amps was in this brown line conductor, how many amps would be in the blue neutral?
We would have 6 amps also.
Okay, so they're both live conductors when describing them together, but they are line and neutral?
Yeah, so the first PVC, again, is this basic protection here, okay, stopping us from receiving an electric shock.
And when we cut over to the person we can't remember and his location, I'll let you go into a bit more detail about the type of PVC here. And then what's this grey on the outside?
So the second PVC is in relation to the grey out of sheath, okay, which is actually mechanical protection. Now, I know what you're thinking, mechanical protection, that's not going to stop a nail. It's not designed to. Again, this grey outer PVC sheath is generally, let's say, to protect against the plasterer's trowel.
Okay, and then the centre one that seems to be a bare copper?
Okay, so that's our CPC.
Okay, and what would they call that on site?
They'll call it an earth.
And what does CPC stand for?
Circuit Protective Conductor.
And why has it not got a PVC on it?
Because it's not actually designed to carry current under normal conditions like these two, hence why we have insulation here and here.
Yep.
Because for our, let's say, our light to work or our socket, they would carry current, whereas this one wouldn't, only in the event of a fault.
And that fault needs to be where to?
Fault to earth.
Okay, brilliant. However, I'm sure some people will go, in Ireland, it's different.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, they actually have their protective conductor and their twin and CPC cable actually oversheathed.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that will come in here, maybe it won't, but because it doesn't do anything under normal conditions, it doesn't do any work really, does it?
No.
And it only does a work when it does it for a very short period of time, and your college will go into times and disconnection times, that we can get away with it not being actually covered in PVC at those. You've got a lot of cables in front of us here.
We have, we've got a great selection from Doncaster Cables.
Yeah, I mean, when Doncaster Cables showed me the display board that I leave at colleges as part of the eFIXX College Connections, and again, there will be a link in the description in order to get involved with that process, as well as one to sign up for our newsletter. So again, if you want to be notified in advance of some of the stuff we're doing each month, and it's usually a maximum, I think, about 2 emails a month that you'll receive. Yeah. Again, you can sign up for that newsletter. But this board, it had me dripping with excitement.
It's amazing. It is nice.
Yeah, to have this in a college setting is fantastic. Well, we're going to start again with your twin and CPC cables. Okay, so if I bring this one in. Yeah,
so twin and CPC, we've already talked through the first PVC being the brown and blue, second being there. Twin is for the line and neutral, pair of live conductors, and then CPC being the circuit protective conductor. But also what we need to know is this is actually a class 1
Class
cable.
1 cable. What do you mean by class 1?
So it actually has a solid piece of copper.
Okay, so solid copper conductors like those makes that a class 1 cable.
It does, yeah.
And in my experience, that's probably something that doesn't get mentioned that much in college settings.
No, I don't think we did we as teachers? No.
I'm trying to circle out of that one.
Oh, was it? Oh,
I mention it all the time.
I didn't. I was the bad.
No, I didn't as well. So, so we'd be doing a lot of the stuff that we talked about here, but actually classifying the class of conductors. So solid copper conductors, they're class 1. Yeah. And that's what you see very early on, isn't it? You're doing lighting circuits and socket circuits.
And basic clipping and things like that, isn't it?
And again, it's the people that are watching this live stream or perhaps are going into the books that are seeing additional stuff to what the college are teaching you or at work. So again, when you sit there and you look at the electrician you're with, they might be calling it twin and earth. Yeah. Are they explaining the live conductors? Are they explaining the names? Are they explaining disconnection times? Are they calling it class 1 conductors? And I'd like to say in my defence, I'd be the same. No, they're not. but you're training to be an electrician, you aren't one, you need to accumulate as much information as you can.
100%.
So if we have a class 1 conductor, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I reckon in the future there'll be a class 2. Is there a class 2?
There will be, and there is, yes.
So here we go. So let's have a look at class 2.
So again, we've got the same style of protection, okay? So it's still a twin CPC cable. However, what you can see now is we actually have a stranded conductor.
So that's solid copper.
It is solid copper. However, there's multiple cores there, which give it a bit of flexibility. And this is what we call a class 2 conductor.
Okay, so from my knowledge you've just given me, then the centre CPC, I'm just going to say that's class 1.
It is, yes, a class 1 conductor. But the two outer ones, the line and the neutral, are class 2.
Okay, so we're not bundling it together and saying this is a class 2 cable.
No.
We're bundling it from our individual conductors. So this would be, all of those are class 1.
Yeah.
These are 2 are class 2.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a class 1 conductor. So when we come down to single insulated cables, we've got a protective one here.
Yeah.
And I look at the construction there.
Again, we have stranded, okay, which gives it an element of flexibility for conduit systems and the like. This is a class 2.
So
conductor.
Solid copper, but stranded for greater flexibility.
Yeah.
Gives us a class 2 conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So working through those early lessons, aren't you? You're getting all these names, and now we've added a little bit more detail in there, and you find all the details when you get to books.
It goes back to the shows what we've been talking about in the last live stream, wasn't it? Where take yourself out of the box, put yourself in a better position. All of this information is going to help you to do that, isn't it?
And imagine if you were a full-time learner, or perhaps doing your appraisal every year as an apprentice, and they said to you, right, okay, we're going to show you something really simple, like a piece of twin and CPC cable. And they said, well, you've been at college and at work for 6 months or a year. Yeah. Tell us all about it. Imagine adding that extra detail.
When you talk about class 1 or class 2.
Yeah, go in there a little bit more detail. It might not be coming up in yours, but I know at interviews, especially for full-time learners, I always try and get my learners to say what they know, even though I don't ask them a question. So it's that classic, isn't it? They'll say to you, why do you want to work for us as a company? And you go, I'd like to work for you as a company because I've been using twin and CPC cables at college, and you spew out all the stuff you know about it. And wouldn't it be nice to use that kind of wiring system at your company? Yeah. And it works, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it just works because you're demonstrating your deep understanding of a subject that you already knew you were going to talk about.
Yeah, and the fact that you've tried. Okay. You know, you've tried to learn, haven't you? So.
Absolutely. So you've gone class 1. Class 2, I know exactly where we're going next. I'll bring the camera in, and you can talk me through the next one.
So as you can see here, okay.
Class 3.
Class 3?
Yeah.
No, it's not, Gaz, no. So this is actually class 5. Okay. And what that means is we have fine stranded copper conductors.
Okay, so fine stranded. Why are they fine stranded?
They're fine to offer great flexibility. So you might have them with appliances and moving parts as such within an electrical installation.
So that's coming maybe out of a plug top or a fuse connection unit and going to an appliance. Yeah. And therefore, for greater flexibility, we've got a class 5 conductor.
We have, and it's fine stranded. So we have stranded on the class 2, but it's solid stranded, and we have a fine stranded here.
Okay, so that gives us
in class 5.
Okay, so you might be thinking, that's great, they've done a whistle-stop tour of that. Now, I've left a couple of links in the description for everyone.
Yes.
I've been good. So I've gone in there, I've asked Gordon, and he's put a few in for me, but I've gone in as well, so I've got my laptop out. In there's a lovely video that we've made at Doncaster Cables on how twin and earth cables made.
It's actually made, yeah.
So we can actually start seeing the full process from when it comes in big reels of copper to going out the door as twin and earth cables. Yeah, we'll go there, twin earth cables.
Twin and CBC. Twin and earth for Gordon.
Yeah, for Gordon. So again, if you're in a college setting and you've seen these cables, you think to yourself, well, for the sake of probably 10 minutes of your time, I can see how that process works. Our great friends, and it was along with Doncaster Cables, and it was Aaron that did the video for me. Okay, he's the works manager there, and he knows everything about cables, and he talks you through the entire process. That would be great. Again, if you think that video is of any worth when you watch it, perhaps recommend it to your college if they're not aware of it, and say, wouldn't it make a great 10 minutes in a lesson when you're doing a workshop or a classroom to actually see how cable's made? You know, it would be lovely if everyone can get to Doncaster, and as we're in Newark, we're not that far away, so it's within, but if you're in Dover, a bit more of a trouble, isn't it?
It is, it's a bit of a trek, isn't it?
To get all the way up there. Then you might be thinking, hang on, Gaz has mentioned class 1, class 2, class 5, is there a 6?
There is class 6.
There is a class 6. That's super flexible, fine stranded cables. And you might want some more details. and I've left a link in the description for that as well. So when you look in there after the live stream, obviously not before, you can see one that will go through those classes of conductor and add a little bit more technical detail.
Yeah.
So,
and in the description, there's also a link, I believe, isn't there, to EV Ultra.
Okay, you say EV Ultra, I say let's have a look at it.
Yeah, let's have a look at EV Ultra.
EV Ultra, this sounds sounds different.
Again, just as we're on cables, it's another video to familiarise yourself with something that you might not use on a day-to-day basis. Moving forward in industry, though, is something you're going to need to probably be more familiar with, isn't it?
So this is a not an armoured version. This is the, I always get it wrong, tough sheath version.
Yeah.
So this is the tough sheath version. I can see in here a set of conductors in there. So I've got a brown, oh, I'm sorry about that, my screen keeps changing. Yeah, I've got a brown, a blue and a green and yellow. And I can look at those. I now know that they are class 2 conductors.
They are, because they're solid stranded.
But that looks all new to me. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so that's actually a Cat 5 cable. So we use that for maybe data or connecting to CT clamps, etc.
Okay, that now, okay, so. I've got my class 2 conductors, and then I've got a Cat 5. We're all used to perhaps hearing Cat 5 and Cat 6, and we're thinking about the internet.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that they've actually got a cable within another cable that can take the internet to a certain location?
Yes.
What sort of areas or locations might need connectivity that the EV Ultra cable can come in really handy with?
So again, a lot of people have moved offices down to the bottom of their garden. So you might be taking internet connection down there.
Okay, yeah. What about things like EV chargers?
Yeah, EV chargers, yeah.
So they've got to be smart, haven't they? Now?
They do now, yeah.
Yeah, so the government's deemed that all new installed EV chargers need to be connected.
Yeah.
Okay, so they need to be smart, and you could run a separate cable. But Doncaster cables, the EV Ultra, and they do a steel wire armoured version as well, have the data cable built into it.
Yeah, so there's no need to run additional cables. It's all within one. Makes the installation obviously a lot easier and more efficient as well.
Okay, so again, think about what you're probably going to learn at college. Think about maybe what you're doing at work. It might be that you don't do much, EV,
and stuff,
and things like that. Again, with your reading and your investigation, you can have a greater understanding of the industry that you're working in. And you said you left a link in the description.
Yeah, there is. There's a link for that one as well. So, go ahead and watch that one to give yourself a little bit more information on that. So
you must have slipped that one in when I went in and had to get a cup of tea.
I did,
let's finish off what we've got here before we go to another section. So we've got a steel wire armour cable here, and we think the guy that I can't remember his name and where he is from is going to look at those as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And then
I wish I could remember what his
I can't
name
remember
was,
his name. No, it'll come to me before we get to his bit. What sort of class of conductor is that?
So this is actually class 2.
Ah, right,
so sometimes you might look at it and think, oh, well, there's lots of stranded conductors there, so it must be a class 5. However, it's solid stranded that we're looking at, which is class 2.
Okay, so solid copper, and now we come to here to a bit of Arctic flex.
Yeah.
Maybe the flex is going to help me, and when I look at those, that looks very fine strand. Is that class 5?
It is, yes.
Okay, so that's it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's lovely boards, aren't they? Especially for colleges as well.
Yeah, very disappointed that I didn't get one of them when I was in. So again, for the people that participate in the eFIXX College Connection, every college can nominate themselves for one. Look in the description, or go to efixx.co.uk and do the Get Involved tab, and you can nominate your college to have an eFIXX College Connection visit. But these live streams are going to try and fill the gap. So we're going to try and get out to colleges we haven't seen yet. I know we've been to Lincoln and we did one in the evening. We're here in Newark today, but we will get some other colleges. So as you're leaving your college you're at currently or you've been to in the actual comments, it might be that I look down that list and think, well, there's one I might contact and see if they'll be interested in a college connection. Yeah. Now, I've been stalling because I just can't remember.
I've been trying to think.
So we're going to somewhere.
Yeah.
To see someone about it's about cables. It's going to talk
about
remember
cables.
that. Yeah, it's about cables. So
what's his name?
I don't know. So we apologise. Hopefully he'll help us out. We're going to go over to somewhere to speak to someone. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks guys. It's JB here at JTL Oxford in Culham. Today what we're going to be looking at is current carrying capacities of 2 types of cable and their operating temperature. We have 2 different types of cable here that you will come across in your training. This is a twin-end CPC, and this is a steel wire armoured, also known as SWA. When you've been working with twin-end CPC cable and stripping the conductors, and then you move onto SWA, you will find it considerably more difficult to take off the PVC around the copper conductors. This is because the insulating material around the twin-end CPC cable is thermoplastic polyvinyl chloride. It has a maximum operating temperature of 70 degrees. Steel wire armoured is a thermosetting PVC and has an operating temperature of 90 degrees. We know that when cable carries current, it gets hot, which affects the current carrying capacity. Twinning CPC can rise to 70 degrees centigrade, and if we apply the same logic to steel wire armoured, and it can rise to 90 degrees centigrade, we're going to have a look at the on-site guide for 1.5 twin and earth clip direct. What you'll find is its maximum current carrying capacity is 20 amps. We will then look at SWA for 1.5. What we can see is it can carry 27 amps. So there's a large difference, but the same size cross-sectional area. So in summary, what we found is those with the same cross-sectional area does not necessarily mean they have the same current carrying capacity. The thermoplastic has a lower current carrying capacity at 70 degrees centigrade maximum operating temperature, and the thermosetting, which has a 90 degrees centigrade maximum operating temperature, can carry more. So that's all from me at JTL Oxford and Culham. Back to Lineside Studios.
Right, JB, Culham, Oxford.
Oxford. Let's remember it. We will this time.
We got him again. I think he's up. So in a month's time, I think it's the 14th of November, we go again.
Yeah.
It's going to be over to James, Culham, Oxford, College, JTL.
Okay.
Rearrange the words, get them in the right sentence.
Yeah.
We'd like to give him a massive thanks to JB. He's currently just had a little operation. He's not at work, so hopefully he's tuning in. We can see him in the comments.
Yep.
As we talk about comments, can you give us a few colleges that are in there?
Yeah, so we've had quite a few come in now. So we've got Hull College.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, there's a shout out also for Dagenham and Redbridge, I believe.
Yep.
Stoke-on-Trent as well, which is Rebus Training Limited. So maybe not a college, maybe a private training provider.
Thank you very much, Julian.
Yeah, so it's nice to see them. Talks about the City and Guilds IET Electrical Installations books 1 and 2 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Good books.
And we've got Richard Gaunt as well. We mentioned EV Ultra and he's installing one as we speak. So.
Okay, oh,
yeah, nice.
Yeah, really good. So yeah, keep them coming in. Books, colleges you're at as you go through, maybe what you're doing, and then Marcus will try and give some people some shout out. Did we have anyone from anywhere further afield maybe than UK?
We did. We had one from India.
So somebody from India is also.
Yes.
Thank you very much for tuning in for that one as well. Now, he was brilliant there because he talked about the maximum operating temperature of two different but similar cables, weren't they? So there was
Thermoplastic.
and thermosetting. So they were the same cross-sectional area.
Yeah.
But because one could run hotter,
Yeah.
what does it mean for its current carrying capacity?
Current carrying capacity actually increased, didn't it? So I think it was from 20 to 27 amps.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So the same size cable, same amount of copper.
Yeah.
Didn't matter whether one was class 1 and one was class 2. It's just purely because the insulation material around it was
rated at a different temperature.
Yeah, and it was 90. Now, when you think about cables, the first thing really at college after you've got the names and that, we start introducing a word called ambient.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would the ambient temperature in this room be?
Let's say 20 degrees.
So 20. So we're talking about the temperature around here. In other words, the room temperature is at 20 degrees. So what's the conductor temperature with no current going in it?
It's also going to be 20 degrees.
So when I start applying the current to it, how much additional temperature can I rise it up from?
Well, for thermoplastic would be a further 50 degrees.
And then 70 for thermosetting.
70 thermosetting. Yeah.
So again, if I had a cable installed in a solid ambient temperature of 10 degrees, I think that could carry more current, couldn't it?
It could, yeah, because you could go a further 60 degrees for thermoplastic.
So that's taking perhaps the bit that JB's introduced to us there, and he's taking it up and starting to look a little bit of design, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got to take into consideration lots of things, and it's always, when you look at a cable, its ability to dissipate heat.
100%, especially when you're designing or at that stage of designing, which you probably will maybe year 3 of the apprenticeship, the end of year 2, maybe, and you'll see that there's factors you have to apply to your equations to account for that.
Yeah, so dissipate means give off. It means the ability to get rid of its heat, sort of like, you know yourself, if it's a really hot day and you put a coat and a hat on, your ability to do work becomes restricted, doesn't it? Because you're like, oh, I'm so hot, I'm sorry. So you take your hat off, you take your jacket off, probably in a t-shirt and shorts, you can do more work because obviously your body's ability to dissipate heat. Cables are exactly the same. And as we move through these streams, we think after this one, we've got Dave in for start of a cable calculation. So Dave here at Newark College has promised me when we've done this, he's going to record a segment for you, and hopefully remember his name. It's Dave from Newark College.
Yeah, I'm sure we won't have a problem. We've never had a problem before, have we?
No, not remembering their names or where they're from.
No.
So yeah, it's good. Now, when I start thinking about cables, and I think about class 1, class 2 and class 5, it might be a case, Marcus, that I need to start joining them together.
Yes.
Okay, so we're bringing round on the eFIXX College connections. How do we pronounce it?
Wago.
Okay, so everyone on site is going to call it a...
Wago.
Or maybe...
Wago.
Wago. Yeah. So we call these on-site Wago connectors. Actually, it's Wago. So again, it's another one of those things. Everyone on site, including yourself, are probably going to call it a Wago connector, but it's actually not. It's a Wago connector. And I've got a problem then, haven't I? So if I've got some here, I'll bring the camera in. I've got a 3, a 5, and a 2, so a conductor connector. So I'll bring this one in. So those there are designed to join cables together.
They are, yeah.
Okay, they have a little lever on them.
They do,
Often people call them maintenance free, but we'll come back to that.
We will, yeah.
So what type of conductors can I join there?
So with the 221s, you can actually have class 1, which is solid.
Okay.
Class 2, which is solid stranded.
Yeah.
And class 5 being fine stranded.
Okay, well I've got some here for you. So if you take the 3 conductor connector and do a little bit of trimming, so you're going to twist that one up slightly.
Yeah,
so
and there should be a...
Is there a length on them?
There is a length there.
Okay, so it's 11 mil, is that a little bit long?
So it's a little bit long, so we can trim this back.
Okay, so trim that one back.
Probably around
So that's going to be a class 5 connection into that.
Yep.
Okay, so 11 mil and lift the lever. Are you going to put it in the 3 conductor one, or you can
do you want me to put it in the 3?
Well, we can join all 3 then, can't we? Maybe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's do the 3. I like the 3. Let's do the 3. So lift the lever. So let's see that again. So you lifted the lever, and in we go, and that's it connected. Yeah. No screwing at all.
No screwing. No.
Okay. So now, would it take a class 1?
It will take a class 1.
Okay. So shall we put a class 1 conductor in?
We shall. Yes.
We'll do a bit of stripping again. Just like to say for the record, these are mine and not your set. So you're going to check it for 11.
Yeah.
I bet you're nearly there. Now.
Oh look. A Nat's knacker. That's what a college tutor used to call it.
Okay.
For me.
Okay, so here we go. So lift up the lever.
Yeah.
Did you have to lift the lead? Or?
No, you don't. Not for the solid.
No,
especially you could just push them in. Yeah.
But generally we tend to still lift the lever. So that's 2. So could you get a class 2 conductor?
Class
in
2,
there?
yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the stranded one again. It's a little bit long. Nice. And again, you have to lift the lever now.
Yeah.
Yeah. 11 mil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably a little bit short on
so
this
we've
one.
managed to join all 3 together. So
We
as I
have,
look at that, we've got a class 1, class 2 and class 5 conductor in there.
Yeah.
No screwing.
No.
And often people call those maintenance-free connectors.
They do, yeah.
Which is probably a site thing again, isn't it? So
yeah.
it goes back
and
to...
It's sort of half correct, almost, isn't it?
Is it a ring main?
No.
It's a ring final circuit, which is a half correct. So again, it goes back to your reading. It goes back to your watching of maybe video content and in absorbing yourself in the process. That often on site, they'll call it a Wago, but it's a...
Wago.
Is it maintenance free?
In some aspects, yes, but you need more to the story as such.
Okay, but I know even myself, I've called them maintenance free connectors, and I've put them in areas where they're not maintenance free.
No.
So I've got another illustration here that can probably help that story go through.
Yes.
But the one thing I do want you to solve for me is there's 2 current ratings on it and 2 voltage ratings. And I think if you use the box as an example, they're written on the side, aren't they?
They are written on the side, quite small, but
can get confusing, can't it?
Yeah, the box is slightly bigger. Do you want to bring hand cam in?
I'll bring hand cam in. So here
we
it
go.
goes. So on it, we've got...
So as you can see, we've got 450 volts.
Yes.
And 32 amps.
So these connectors here, used in the UK, rated up to 450 volts and 32 amps.
And 32 amps.
And what size cables can we use in
And
that?
we can use a maximum of up to 4mm squared. So if you look here, we've got solid and stranded,
solid
up to
stranded.
4mm squared. And for fine stranded, also up to 4mm squared.
But slightly different there on the lower end?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's there. So that was in the box here to go with those connectors.
Yeah.
But as always, if you want a little bit more detail, of course, the eFIXX YouTube channel will have more detail about these. But if you want to take your detail and your learning to another level, it links in with what we've got here in this maintenance-free and aggregate current and all. It all sounds a bit grown up. So let's have a little basic look of what we've got here with this enclosure and some cables that we've put together, because I think it links into quite a bit that we've looked at today.
It does, yeah.
So let's see what we've got here, Marcus. So we've got an enclosure.
We have,
and we're going to join together. Whoa, a lot of different colours there.
Yeah, so if you notice in the books we was looking in earlier, it was actually talking about and showing us the different colours. The old pre-2004 colours, being red and black. Red for line, black for neutral. And the new harmonised colours being brown and blue, brown for line, blue for neutral.
Okay, so in a college setting, say if you're a full-time learner, you're unlikely to see these old cable colours, maybe other than just a quick presentation. But the minute you get your apprenticeship, you're likely to see them all the time, aren't you?
Yes, you are. Quite common.
Okay, so you've joined those together.
Yes.
Within this enclosure, and I can see there's some like cord grips here. Now there is a trick to this that you want to show me, isn't there?
Yeah. So let's say, especially for the larger Wago boxes, you might have a number of cables going in.
Yeah.
Okay. What you can actually do is, if you try and squeeze too many in, what happens is it actually pushes these out. And when you go to close the lid, it can be a bit tight to get on.
Okay.
Yeah. The lid won't actually clip shut.
Yep.
So what you can do is you can actually pull these cable grips out, and you can adjust them.
Say that again. So
Let me go back in.
You took that one out, did you? Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. So you can just pull them out.
Is there some grooves in the side?
There is grooves, yes. So they only slot in one way.
Okay, yeah.
And then what you can do is you can actually then adjust these
Yep.
to suit how many cables you're going in. So you're not, one, putting too much pressure on the cable itself,
Yep.
but number two, being able to still close the lid.
So if you bring this 1mm cable in with the gap you've left there, just because that's
Yep.
quite a large gap. Oh, that's too loose, isn't it?
There's a massive gap
Ah,
there. So what we can do, sometimes they are fiddly to get out.
So just pull those
Not
out.
put it in too much. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So
move it across,
Move it across.
and that will tighten up that gap. Will
That
it?
will, make the gap smaller. So now, when we go in,
Okay. So
now it's the cable grip's holding it, so I can't physically, I'm giving that quite a tug there.
Yep.
Probably not the words to use, but
That's right. No, give me a tug. That's fine.
and the cable grip's there, but it's not putting on an amount of pressure where I can't slide it up and down. Where it's too
right.
tight.
So by just using this grip here, that makes it a maintenance-free connection. Yes.
Not just that, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I threw you that one, didn't I?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay.
you did, yeah.
So what are we doing with these actual 221? So these Wago or Wago 221
Yeah,
connectors?
so they actually sit inside these housings here, or these lanes as such.
Okay, do you want to pull one of them out for me?
Yeah. So if we take that one out,
Okay, so we've
you
got
see
the
they
connector.
fit in there quite nice.
Yep, so we've got the connector we've seen previously.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're joined together. Now, by using both the grip and
Yep.
the fact that when this is in this groove here, it won't move, will it?
No.
It's not going to be roaming around the enclosure. So if I left it in there, it would move around the enclosure. By putting it into there,
Yeah.
does it make this connector now maintenance free?
It does, yes.
Right, okay, so maintenance free. So we often call the connectors maintenance free, but it isn't.
do.
It needs a combination, doesn't it?
Yes, it's the connector and the enclosure itself. So.
Okay, so I've got this enclosure.
Yeah.
It makes it maintenance free.
Yeah.
But hang on, I'm just thinking back to stuff we talked about today. We had our learners in today. We did a lesson today, didn't we?
We did,
Good
yeah.
fun with our.
It was strange though, wasn't it?
It was strange. So we did a lesson and we linked it to protection against electric shock.
We did.
We looked at how an enclosure can stop me, obviously, getting an electric shock by the fact I had to open it with a key or tool.
Tool, yeah.
Okay, so one of those two things. I'd just like to say, Marcus, as I'm looking down there, I can't see a key or a tool in order to get into that enclosure. So I don't think that's a very good electrical enclosure.
Well, what we can do is, once we've snapped it shut,
Okay.
is we can actually take a cable tie,
Okay.
or a tie wrap.
Yeah, it's a cable tie on
I'd
site.
like to see in the comments what you call it.
Yeah, so that's a cable tie.
Yeah, and we can actually secure our enclosure using one of these. Okay, so now actually, to enter into this enclosure,
Yeah,
I think they come with smaller ones as
they
well.
do. Yeah, we have what's in your van.
Yeah, so we can actually secure that, and there's one both sides as well.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we can actually secure that. So now anybody who does want to enter this enclosure will need some sort of, not key as such, but a tool to maybe cut.
Okay, so show me that. So I'll come in, and now I can get. So I've got a deliberate action.
Deliberate action, yeah.
Okay, so as I look at the box now, there's another clue that suggests that this is maintenance free, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is the symbol for maintenance free, and I just want to grab, you just keep looking at that.
Yeah, I will do.
I'm just going to grab.
Obviously, the enclosure is a little bit large for what we needed, or it was the only one I had on my van today when I got to college.
Yeah. So just going to look at BS7671, okay?
So
this
big
is
brown book?
not for necessarily for level ones, okay? What we was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And if we come here, okay, we see the symbol here,
Oh, right,
okay, which is the same symbol. So what this is talking about is every connection shall be accessible for inspection, test and maintenance, except for the following.
Okay.
So what we're saying is every electrical joint or connection must be accessible. However, if you have one of these...
Yeah, buried a joint in the ground makes logical sense, doesn't it?
It doesn't need to be accessible.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything with this marking does not need to be accessible. So maybe under a floorboard, okay, where there's a carpet on top, we could have one of these maintenance-free Wago boxes because it would class as a maintenance-free connection. We can't just put it in connector blocks and hide it under the floorboards, because a connector block, let's say your conventional one, isn't actually covered by this regulation. So
okay, now I was thinking back to those, and people training probably will only see them when they're taking them out. Those brown ones that I see on the floors.
Yeah.
There's no cable retention grip on them, is there?
No.
So there's nothing to stop you pulling against the cable, is there? As they're telling me, so they wouldn't be maintenance free.
no, and it also has a screw as well.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
So
There's
vibrations and things.
so
these are actually, I'd imagine they're done on compression, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is another requirement for that regulation.
Okay.
So
But the only way I knew that was I had to do what with the book?
read it.
Yeah.
So research.
Yeah. So again, so you're thinking to yourself, there's lots of things here, and what we're trying to prove to you is that everything's connected to a book. Okay, so all your learning is connected to actually at some point having to read some information, and that just proved it nicely with that Wago box. And we actually leave them, Wago is supporting the eFIXX College connections we saw at the top. We're leaving them the 221s and some other connectors, as well as 2 different sizes of the Wago box.
Yes, we are, yeah.
So of course, it gives learners an opportunity, maybe full-time learners more than apprentices. Apprentices used to see them all the time, but they get to touch the latest stuff that's happening out there in industry. But I'd like to think people go, but I want to learn more.
Yeah,
And
what is
Marcus,
that? How can I know more about it?
Yeah.
And again, just within the description of here, you put a link for a CPD, haven't you?
Yeah, so what is a CPD then?
So continued professional development. So something we all have to do now. I've got my Napit registration or visit coming up. Even in the last one, I had to show my CPD. And again, I've used eFIXX CPDs and used them for my registration.
So what we're saying now is, and it can be a bit, as you're going through your apprenticeship or you're a full-time learner, it can be a bit scary thinking, oh, CPD. Well, if we say free training, so free training means you've got to watch a video.
Yep.
Okay, so if you've watched this one, it's exactly the same sort of process. And then to validate you've learned something, you answer, say, 10 or 15 multi-choice questions. If you're unsuccessful the first time, you have as many attempts as you want in order to pass it. I would recommend rewatching the video. Generally what people do is they think they've watched enough of the video.
And go straight to the questions and then think, oh, I need to go back and watch the video.
And then that would be, so, and then again, you can accumulate those certificates. So I would say for apprentices, when you're looking at the portfolio building, you're going to need to demonstrate off-the-job training, aren't you? So you've learned something new, and can you obviously quantify it? Well, imagine you've gone in and done the CPD we've left in the description, which is on aggregate current.
It is, yeah.
It talks about these boxes and these connectors. The story doesn't add up to what they would tell you at work. Because I often look at an enclosure and go, the enclosure's worth 32 amps. I'm only putting in 4 lighting circuits, and they're fused at how many amps roughly?
6 amps.
So I'm fine. I'm fine.
But it's not always the case, is it?
It isn't the case. So when you go and you look at that training package, you'll start looking at how current in each of the conductors are added up, and that number must be equal to or less than the enclosure it's going in. So if you've picked an enclosure saying it's 20 amps, and you were maybe extending a leg of a ring final circuit, which you're saying one leg's only 20 amps, it's not quite as simple as that, and you can find you've installed the wrong enclosure. But of course, when you're on site and you're working with someone, often they're repeating mistakes that they think are right. Nobody goes out to install systems that they knowingly think are wrong.
No.
But of course, they're training you at the same time. So wouldn't it be nice to say to yourself, hang on a minute, I had a look at those maintenance-free enclosures, I saw those connectors, and I got myself an additional certificate, and that means that I've increased my knowledge.
100%.
So off-the-job training is brilliant for, you're a full-time learner. Why would I bother doing it as a full-time learner?
What a thing to have at a job interview. What a thing to have on your CV, all this extra training, taking yourself out of the box, like Eric did, and he's actually he's watching, so he's at college watching, so hello mate, you all right? So what a position to put yourself in by doing all of this extra training. Like you said, you used to get your learners to go and spill off all this information, even though they didn't answer the question. By watching these, you can gain that information, and you can use that to your advantage. So,
and that's an hour, maximum of an hour's worth of effort. So I remember and I've said this before in other ones, I remember as a young person trying to get to my 10 metres swimming. So you had to get to the end of the pool. Now you go for weeks and you get halfway there and you stop and you get a mouth full of water, and eventually you get to the other end. And when you did, they give you a little badge, you saw them on your little trunks. And next week you were trying for your 25. And that took me ages to do it. When I played football, I played all season to maybe win the league or not. To get a reward. However, after 1 hour, I can have a certificate. Everyone loves a badge, don't they? Everyone loves a medal. Everyone loves a certificate.
Of course they do. So, and it only benefits you at the end of the day as well, doesn't it? So
increase your knowledge. Okay. Got a certificate. It will be brilliant for your off-the-job training, but it also be brilliant for those people who are trying to get into our industry, because it's another certificate that adds in. And I think we've got about, let's go for a rough number, about 30 at the point of recording. And if you want to know where they all are, you could either go through the link in the description to the Wago one.
Yeah, or you can go to the website, can't you?
And what tab is it under?
So it's on the Know-How tab, is that right?
It is on the Know-How tab.
So
There's also the eFIXX Apprentice Hub tab. So again, there's some bits in there to help you with multi-choice questions, learning resource materials, of which this video will sit in that collection as well.
Yeah.
But that sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the rare occasions where it's too good to be true. It actually is true. So
yeah.
Normally you say that statement, don't you? And you get told by people who are maybe older. I get told all the time by my dad. If it's too good to be true, mate, it normally is. But in this case, it is true, isn't it? So it's all there.
It is. And now we touched on, didn't we? We touched on cable colours, and we touched on the old colours and the new colours.
We did, yeah.
Will the on-site guide help me maybe interface these cables?
Yeah, I'll
so
just
as Marcus goes off and gets that, we'll also check out the comments. Remember, we're looking for the books that you recommend that you've had in the past or currently using that are brilliant, and you'd like to recommend to the community, as well as telling us which college you're currently studying at or previously studied at.
There we go.
Okay, so this on-site guide page here gives us a little bit of detail about interfacing of cables. So in other words, when we join together red and black and blue and brown, we don't have to do anything, do we?
No, not on a single phase installation.
But there might be a case of that sticker in a domestic dwelling either being given to the customer or on the board. But once we start doing our three-phase colours, which in new colours are brown, black, grey and blue. What were they in old colours?
So they were red, yellow, blue and black.
Ooh, hang on, whoa, hang on. Let me take a deep breath. I heard two colours twice.
Yeah. So the blue and the black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Under the new system,
Yeah.
the black is what type of conductor?
So it's a line conductor or phase conductor.
Okay, it's a line conductor.
Yeah.
Under the old system, what was the black?
Black was the neutral.
Wow. You can see what there's a little bit of, if I put the blacks together, I've got a problem, haven't I?
You have, yes.
Under the new system, what's the blue?
So the blue is the neutral.
Okay, and under the old system?
The blue was line conductor as well.
So as I put together my connection from pre-2004 cable colours, red, yellow, blue, black, to my new colours, brown, black, grey, blue, if I was to join blue to blue, black to black, I would get a lot of, say, molten metal.
You would,
and I'd probably hear the overcurrent protection device make a really loud noise.
You would hear a bit of a bang, wouldn't you?
So where I interface the two, how do I know that I've interfaced them correctly? What do I need to do as an electrician?
So we have to label it up.
How do I label it?
Okay, so if we look in here, the marking for red and brown, so red being the old colour, brown being from the new conductors, we must mark it L1.
Okay.
For yellow and black, we must mark it L2.
Yes.
For blue and grey, we mark it L3.
Yeah.
And for black and blue, we mark it as a neutral. And we get little conductor tabs that we can put on there. Also, you can buy them little kits, can't you?
You can, yeah, absolutely you can. Wow, so, but again, where did I find all this information?
We read it in a book.
We read it in a book. So you can see how throughout the entire thing here, we've tried to prove to you we're excited about cables, but we want our knowledge to go a little bit further. And in order to get our knowledge to go a little bit further, we've obviously got to read some books, take on some additional information. I'm just going to check this way. Do you want to see if there's any other great comments going on? We obviously know Eric's on board. Okay. So if you haven't seen some of our other live streams, they're obviously in the catalogue, you can go back and see it. And we talked about work experience for those people that are trying to get a job in our industry and how important it is. And we did Eric's story in there. So Eric knocked at your front door, didn't he, and got some work experience.
He did, yeah.
Didn't get a job, but he got some work
experience. Someone from Mongolia, Gaz?
Okay, Mongolia,
yeah.
We'll be out there as soon as we can for an eFIXX live.
Bonnie said, what's up, Gaz?
Oh, Bonnie's on, is she? Oh, bless her. That's your daughter is on. So any questions there that you think are relevant, or have you just lost the page?
No, I haven't lost the page. No, yet. So we've got, it's only maintenance free when it's sealed with a cable tie. So maybe because we're a bit forward, So we won that one.
Yeah.
We've got, so what makes the Wago maintenance free is putting something in place which prevents the levers from opening accidentally. I always put tape around this for this reason. Would that make it maintenance free? Again, it's not in an enclosure that is classed under British standards as maintenance free. So just putting tape over them, whilst that would help the levers not to open, wouldn't actually make it a maintenance free connection as such. So.
No, so if you had a light switch and maybe you're taking the feed to the light switch, you were joining together some neutrals.
Yeah.
Okay, by all means put it in there, but you surely can get nicely access to that by the screws on the front of the light switch.
Again, so maintenance free is we're using maintenance free for a non-accessible, let's say, junction box. Whereas, like you said, if it's in the back of an accessory, it's actually accessible, therefore is not required to be maintenance free at all. So in
that case, if they were using tape, which I'm not condoning or knocking, because I just don't know the answer to this, they're actually using that tape maybe because they think the levers might lift.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's their choice, is their thing. I can't comment on whether that's a yes or a no from me. Okay, so that's all interesting stuff.
What else we got?
So you're going back through the questions. Got anything there that?
Oh, I did a Del Boy impression. What one was that?
Del Boy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Derek Trotter or
Who is Del Boy?
We taught a Del Boy, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Do you remember?
We did teach a Del Boy. So.
GS38 is a good one to get hold of too. Not a page turner, but useful health and safety. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, and that links nicely, doesn't it, to our Safe for September, which is finished, which is safe for all year, which was all about safe isolation. How much does it cost for me to download GS38?
Nothing.
It's free. So if I type in
GS38 to Google,
or
to a search engine.
Always put PDF at the end because I think it comes up.
Oh, okay,
it's easier.
It does anyway.
But you put GS38 into your Google search or your search engine, it will come up and you print it off. What's it, about 9, 11 pages?
Yeah, it's not massive, is it? There's lots of words. There is pictures as well. Not pretty pictures, I would say. But again, so who put that comment in was Gareth McGovern. So.
Yeah, brilliant. So I've printed it off. What's the next thing I need to do once I've printed it off?
Read it.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? We used to get our learners back in the day.
Highlight information, wasn't it? Take home task.
Yeah.
Go home, read it. Tell us if always throw a caveat in there, so they wouldn't. So we'd see if they'd read it or not. So
we always used to ask for things like maximum tip, minimum tip, preferred tip, size of fuse.
Yeah,
things like that, and then a couple
suitable
of other
for
bits.
length, flexible.
Yeah, absolutely, and we get them to read it. Okay, the problem is motivating yourself to think to yourself, I'm really involved in this journey, and who is ultimately responsible for your training, regardless of your full time or an apprentice, Marcus?
You, Gaz. I'm joking.
No.
Yourself.
Yeah.
It is yourself. But that's a common answer, isn't it? We see that all the time. People say, well, it was him, it was him, it was her. When actually, no, you have to reflect and say, well, I could have tried that, I could have read a book, I could have, and by all means put in the comments if you prefer a different option to read in a book, maybe there's audio books and things like that we're not aware of for the IET publications or Pearsons and that. Again, it will help learners look in the future. They might think, I don't really like to read, but I like to listen on my AirPods and stuff like that. So
that's a really good idea, that is.
Do you think?
Yeah. Do you mean imagine? Again, I'd probably need to read it alongside because all the books we've talked about, apart from maybe the S7671's 18th edition Warren regulations, have got some pictures in. So again, but yeah, I can see a market for that.
Do you reckon? Yeah. Stop live streaming now. I can start my own business.
Yeah.
That's it. My voice on an audio book.
Yeah, it wouldn't be me though, would it? Because I could hardly string a sentence together when it comes to reading. Perhaps we get Joe to do them because Joe's got the lovely
the savvy
tone.
voice, hasn't he? Yeah.
Okay, so journey through. So we'll reiterate to you now. If you're starting an electrical course, we recommend that you buy books, and when you've bought a book, we recommend you also read those books. On top of that, we recommend you use as many other different things that can help your journey become as smooth and as effortless as you can. But ultimately, the more effort you get in, what happens to the reward?
The greater the reward. So
yeah, we've left some lovely links in the description for twin and earth cables and how it's made. Something you like to call
twin and CPC.
Okay.
I know you and Gordon don't, but...
And then we've got EV Ultra. So we've got classes of conductor. So for more details, we actually go into the standards around classes of conductor in there as well, which is great. And we've also got that link for people who want additional certification based on the fact they want to know more about maintenance-free enclosures and aggregate current and how that can catch you out on site. When are we next live streaming, Marcus?
So I believe it's the 14th of November.
Yeah, and we don't know where we're doing it from yet. So we're going to try and get out into the wider community. So we're going to try and get to a college in order to do our next live stream, and hopefully you can join us. Remember, we've got content on eFIXX coming out every day, so there'll always be a video coming out, but we'll be doing another eFIXX College Connections in association with the great people that are on the wall now. So as you look at those people are helping support our trips into college. We can leave some fantastic stuff, and we have done, and it's nice to see. And as we've gone around the classrooms, all the boards up.
Yeah,
and
lovely.
What's round the door as you enter
here? Yeah, so
here?
we've got some LED strip on LED tape.
Yeah. No. LED strip.
LED strip.
Yeah, so from Robust, so they've got some IP-rated mains volted LED strip, and it's around the actual doors you come in. So
it illuminates the corridor, doesn't it? You can see almost as you come in, that's the electrical classroom, can't you?
And until we came, they didn't have mains voltage LED strip, so it's great that they're using the kit. So we'll see you tuning in on the 14th of November. We don't exactly know where we're going to be, so it's probably a bit like that guy that we can't remember his name and where's he from. So
no, we said it earlier in the show.
What was his name? Can't remember.
Yeah.
So we don't know where we're going to be. We don't know his name and where he's going to be as we live stream again for you on the eFIXX College Connections on November the 14th. So thank you very much for joining us on this one.